Welcome, football fans, to another edition of IDP Plus Bets. That is right. Man, I wish I was as cool as that intro music, but we are back for another edition. We are doing a special United Football League episode 2. We're looking at week 4. So if you're listening to this, salute to you. Cheers to you, first of all, because you appreciate real football. If you're here, maybe you're a fan of one of the teams. Maybe you're in a city that doesn't have an NFL team and you're like, you know what? Let me try out this UFL thing. I think if you are listening to this, you probably already understand how successful this league really has been. It's been a lot of fun combining of the XFL and the USFL, making one ginormous spring football league. And I think it's been a great product so far. We're on week 4 with, no threat of stopping or anything crazy like happened to the XFL and some of these other spring leagues. So I'm really, really excited. We got a great slate. We got a really great slate of games. So we're going to be breaking down each game step by step. We're going to be giving out my best bets. We're going to be making some money this week as we enjoy some football. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. Of course, you're listening to the DGen Doc, a.k.a. Sebastian Fearon here. Football aficionado by trade. I'm a physical therapist, so you're going to hear me talk a decent amount about injuries because that's kind of where I feel like I can get a decent edge on these games, especially, something in a league that the market's pretty wide open. You got to really kind of do some work to sift through for the injury reports and such, not as readily available. So I think that gives us a nice little bit of an edge. Physical therapist by trade, soldier by occupation in the United States Army here. Got a bunch of stuff you guys probably don't care about. So at the end of the day, just a guy who loves football, loves gambling, and thinks we can make some pretty damn good money on the UFL and have some fun doing it. So I hope you are excited for this episode, and I hope you're able to join me and stick around. And yeah, if you someone who has listened to this and maybe it just caught your feed and you're saying, what's UFL? I hope you give it a shot. And good way to give it a shot is to win some money while you do it. And that's what we're here for, folks. So let's go ahead and take a look at the week 4 slate ahead. This is what we're looking at. But actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a week 3 recap. Talk about things that happened, big takeaways here. One of the big takeaways I want to start with is these kickers, man. These kickers in the UFL are on fucking point. Like, look at that. 4 missed field goals out of 52 throughout the entire league. I mean, we went from a point where if you were watching the XFL, like there were guys in USFL really early on in spring football, like a couple years ago, there was guys missing like 20-yard game-winning field goals. Like from the, extra point range they were missing. Now guys are absolutely drilling 55-plus field goals regularly. If you don't know who Jake Bates is, yeah, remember Brandon Aubrey from last year? He makes Brandon Aubrey look like child's play. This guy's regularly kicking 62-plus yarders, just no sweat. So, that's a Michigan Panthers kicker. We got a lot of kickers in the league. You know what that means for the gambling side, though? Not as many unders are hitting as many as the first 2 weeks. The first week, unders were pretty damn solid. They had 4-0. But last week, the highest scoring week we've had, it's tough because with the kickoff, so for those that don't know, you kick off from the 20, so it encourages returns, unlike what the NFL is going, what the XFL did. It encourages returns. And, with these, you're getting the ball close to 40, 50 if you're on a good return. And with these kickers' legs, you only really got to pick up 1 or 2 first downs. It's like an automatic 3 points. So that is definitely a big takeaway from week 3 so far, first 3 weeks in the UFL. Some other things, some teams are really separating themselves. Now we got 3 weeks of data worth to look at. We can really kind of see where these teams are what direction they're going, what shape they're playing. But as always, it's a dynamic market. You got players coming in and out of the alliance, people going on the IR, big injuries this week. So a lot that we're going to get to. Let's talk about how we did last week. So best bet, man, was winning for 99.9% of this game. This still pisses me off. Arlington, I had Arlington -1. And for those that were not aware, let's go ahead and actually pull up just again for those that didn't see this. What an absolute bad beat. Like, I know SGP, like Scott Van Belt talks about, or SVP, excuse me, talks about bad beats, but man, no. This was a bad beat. So for those that didn't watch, Arlington, they were in control the whole game. They were up by 10 points with 2 minutes left, and literally everything that had to go wrong went wrong. So obviously, I was taking my frustrations out over on X there at the DGen doc. And so when they went up 10 with 2 minutes left, it was just before the 2-minute warning. They then gave up a long kickoff return, gave up a touchdown, a 2-point conversion. Then this was the 4th and 12 play. So for those who aren't aware, most of you probably watching this, probably aware, but in the UFL, you can elect to go for 4th and 12 if you're trailing and you just scored instead of an onside kick from your own 28, 4th and 12. Look at this play. Tell me what
it's all about here. This type of play. Ta'amu with time. Throws it over the middle. Caught by his receiver.
Okay. For those of you who didn't notice, we're looking at this top wide receiver here. And look at this in-breaking route. Look at that push-off. Look at the amount of separation that it fully extends, separates. Of course, it's getting fuzzy. The spies are on us. Man, they wind up getting this. They wind up going down. They wind up kicking a game-winning field goal, and we wind up losing there. Absolutely, absolutely brutal. So, I mean, again, we are covering for 99.9% of the game. I still think Arlington is a better team, and that's what happened. Hey, that's life. That's gambling, though. We move on because we're building back better. We did hit the St. Louis second best bet, St. Louis Battlehawks to beat Michigan Panthers. That cashed for us. And what also cashed for us is a nice little underdog fantasy play. My underdog fantasy play of the week gave this out all over X. I would love to give out these plays on this pod here, but unfortunately, most of these don't drop until Friday. Friday afternoon is the earliest I've seen it. Last week, it was, I think, Friday around, like 2 or 3 p.m. Because so much changes in this league that it's kind of smart. Underdogs not hanging these, underdog and prize picks. They're not hanging these numbers up too early in the week because, again, so much can change. Just, guys can get waived, and it's pretty dynamic and ever-changing league. So we did hit this. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and give me a follow over on X. I also put it out on TikTok at the DGen Doc on both of those. But yeah, this was our play of the week. We absolutely smashed it. I mean, Luis Perez ended up with 290 passing yards. Darius Victor had -1 rushing yards, and Chase Garbers only had like 140 yards in the game. So it was really a no sweat. That's 6x your money. You could also use the promo code SGPN Doc, all caps, and that will get you a free $100 on your initial deposit. So overall, pretty good. Still salty about that best bet, but it's all right. Best bets are 2-1 on the year. So this was the first week that a best bet did not cash. So it just means we're due. We're coming back right now. We're going to 3-1 this week. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And let's get into it. Let's actually start breaking down these games because this first game is one that I actually feel the best about, and that is where our best bet is going to come from. So I am talking about the Memphis Showboats head to St. Louis to take on the Battlehawks. Now, Battlehawks clearly by far have the best fans. They had 40,000 strong 2 weeks ago in their home opener against Arlington. I think that also bought them a friendly whistle, in my opinion. But hey, you never know. But yeah, no, their fans are pretty sweet. If you are a St. Louis Battlehawks fan, shout out to you. Cheers to you. You guys are doing it right. They took City of St. Louis took away your Rams, and you guys were fiending for football and really coming out and supporting the local team. So absolutely love that as just a fan of football. That's awesome. So, kudos to everyone over in St. Louis there for that, really showing out. All right, let's talk about this game here. So we've actually already got an official depth chart. So we got 3 games on Saturday, which is kind of nice because we already know 3 essentially lineups, right? So UFL, they'll typically put it out on Thursday night, typically 1.5 days before the game, they'll put out an official depth chart. So that's pretty nice to look at. I'll give you the, obviously it's a lot. You can go find it. I tweeted it out on my X. UFL has it, but I'm going to just go through kind of the big, what do we got to know from this? What's the big takeaways, right? That's my job. You guys don't have to go dissect these depth charts. Biggest things for me, Memphis side of the ball, pretty healthy. Their starting cornerback TJ Green is out, so St. Louis got some pretty tall wide receivers. They've also got another wide receiver coming back off who was injured to start the year, who is a stud in Ja'Cour Pearson. So that is going to be a little bit of a blow for Memphis, but otherwise they're pretty healthy. They had their wide receiver number 2, Demario Davis. He was dealing with a hamstring injury. He is going to play, so that's pretty good news. So overall, they're pretty healthy there. But on the St. Louis side, there's some real concerns. Like, I think this is the biggest health edge of the entire slate. So their starting defensive end and best player on their defense, in my opinion, Pita Talo. I'm not even going to try it, but first name is Pita. It's pretty unique. He's an edge rusher there from Utah, I believe. But yeah, he's an absolute stud. Was leading the team in sacks, tackles for loss. He's going to be out for the game. Their former All XFL defensive tackle Faialu, he is going to be out of the game as well. And starting free safety Ben DeLuca has just been put on IR. And nickel cornerback, sometimes starting cornerback Chandler Stribling is also going to be out. So that's 4 starters and like impact players. They're going to be out of this lineup for that defense. And there is a little bit of good news. They are getting stud middle linebacker Mike Rose back. And then, again, like I mentioned, Ja'Cour Pearson, wide receiver for them, is going to be back. But there's a clear health edge for Memphis. And that is where I'm going to be putting my money up. I will be taking – so the spread right now is St. Louis -7. I just think that's way too many points. A touchdown, I'm not sold on this Memphis team just yet. Obviously, Memphis is coming in at 2-1, and St. Louis is coming in at 2-1. Memphis is coming in at 1-2. St. Louis is the touchdown favorite. I don't think 7 points separate these teams. I think these teams are a lot closer than people think. Memphis, let me remind you, very well should be 2-1. They beat Houston pretty squarely the week 1, and then week 2 they were up by 2 scores with a minute left or minute something left to San Antonio. And San Antonio had that first crazy comeback where they were down 11 and came back in under 2 minutes, right? Using that 4th and 12 rule. So they were again, I think they were the better team. They were winning 99% of that game. And they just, partly bad luck, partly just folding in the defense, getting that 4th and 12. That they really should be 2-1 in my opinion. Now, their offensive line is an issue. You got Case Cookus and you got Jonathan Adams, Demario Davis, Sage Surratt. Those are weapons. Their offensive line is an issue. Can they protect Case Cookus? Can they get the running game going? Well, what better time to get things started on offense when the other team's best 2 defensive linemen are out and they're missing 2 from their secondary? I think, I understand it's at St. Louis. I understand they have a great home field, but that's too many points. That is too many points. So give me Memphis +7 to keep it close and sprinkle a little bit on that money line. I do think Memphis can pull this out. Case Cookus is a damn good quarterback. I know Darius Victor hasn't been able to get going. I know I bet against last week. He was dealing with the ankle injury last week. That's kind of part of the reason why. But again, I think those 4 big injuries on the defense, like those are not, fringe players, guys that rotate in and out. Those are 4 studs on the defense. They're going to be out. And Memphis, again, is going to be pretty healthy. So give me Memphis. I really think that they have a good shot to win outright, but they definitely keep it within the number. So best bet of the week, Memphis showboats there at the +7. All right, moving on to the next game. We've got the DC Defenders coming in at 2-1, taking on your Birmingham Stallions, who are the sole undefeated team in the United Football League. Yeah, this is going to be in Birmingham. This is going to be a good one on paper. The spread in this one tells you a little bit differently about how good this game is actually going to be. Birmingham is currently 9-point favorites over the DC Defenders. And I think that is right. I understand that is a lot of points. 9 is a lot of points, but man, I do not trust this DC team. Let's take a look at the injuries here. So we got this game is on Saturday, so we have the luxury of having the official depth charts out. From the injury aspect, we've got on the DC side of the ball, They're fairly healthy. They're tight end number one. Briley Moore McKinney, who had that one-handed grab against Houston, might be the catch of the year so far in the UFL. He's out. A rotational defensive end in Mincy, he's also out. But on the good side, Tiamu's favorite target in Keke, the former Houston Texan, he is back from a groin injury. So that's a pretty positive development. Obviously, getting your top wide receiver back. Birmingham side of the ball, they were looking pretty healthy on the injury report, but Marlon Williams, their second leading wide receiver, their second best wide receiver, in my opinion, on that offense, he kind of surprisingly is inactive. He wasn't on the injury report for the first 2 days. So I don't know if this was something like a personal reason. Their team hasn't really disclosed that, but he's going to be out. And then also starting kicker Chris Blewett, with despite his last name, has been a pretty damn good. He's only missed one kick so far in the UFL. He's going to be out as well. So you've got two key pieces of, two key scoring pieces that are going to be out. Now they do have Scooby Wright was on the injury report, but he was able to practice fully. He's going to be playing. That's a huge plus. The other kind of questioning thing, at least, is quarterback Matt Corral. So going into the season, the Birmingham Stallions had the luxury of having both Adrian Martinez and Matt Corral, probably two of the best quarterbacks in the league, at least the ones that have done the most as far as at the collegiate level, and going on to be somewhat successful. Yeah, they were rotating the first 2 weeks. Then last week it was named that Adrian Martinez was a starter, and I think he earned it. Actually, I was thinking Corral would be the guy, but no, Martinez definitely looked better, and he showed out last week. I mean, they won very handily. They beat the tar out of Memphis, and Martinez played great. So I don't really understand why Matt Corral is the QB number one on the depth chart, other than Skip Holtz, who's a great coach. I have no idea how he's not in the NFL coaching. He's an excellent coach. But yeah, I don't know if it's just trying to get 10 tape. I don't know what that is, but maybe it's a smoke screen. I'm not sure. But yeah, I was very perplexed to see Matt Corral listed at QB number one, because Adrian Martinez shined last week. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a little bit, more of just, hey, we're going to get him some time, because Matt Corral really didn't get any run last week. So I think they may go back to the switching quarterbacks. I think both these quarterbacks can run this offense, because this offense is so QB friendly, and they can run the damn ball. They have a really good defense, and they can run the ball. I have not been – so let's wrap up the health side. Health side of it, yes, DC does have a bit of an edge, because they're only really missing one starter. And he's not a super key piece, and they're getting Keke back from injury, where Birmingham's missing their starting kicker and their second best wide receiver. So yeah, you gave the slight injury edge to the DC defenders there, but for the game, give me the Birmingham Stallions. I can't fade this team. They look incredible. They've played extremely well so far. They've clearly separated themselves as a class of the United Football League. They're the only team that can beat them is themselves. If they turn the ball over, if there's injuries or there's penalties or something crazy like that, that's the only thing I see getting in their way right now. They just look like a complete balanced team, right? They've got Deion Kane and usually Marlon Williams, but not Marlon Williams. They got Amari Rogers, who was a high draft pick and just was playing in the NFL. They've got two really good running backs, and CJ Marable, who I thought was the best running back, but Ricky Pearson Jr. has absolutely shined. He runs so hard, man. If you like the run game, like, they'll bring out the T formation. Like, Birmingham is the team you want to watch there. Their offensive line will get some pull, and then that defense is just nasty. Oh my gosh. Like, you want to talk about nightmares? Ask Case Cookis how he's feeling, how he felt after that game. I think they had like 6 sacks or something like that. Oh my God. Like, they literally had to pull Case Cookis out of the game just for his health, like for protection for next week and going on to the future. That defense is nasty. Like, they are in the best way possible. They are really, really good. And the DC defenders, for me, even though they're 2-1, I think they should really be 0-3. I mean, they were down 6 to Houston pretty late when they were playing Houston, and essentially, well, out of all guys, DeAndre Baker, shout out to former New York Giant bust DeAndre Baker, made a great play and knocked the ball out. And Houston went from a sure touchdown going up 13 to fumbling the ball. But, if it wasn't for some late game magic, they lose the Houston game. And definitely Arlington. I just showed you how lucky they got last week. Like, man, and between just everything going right for them when they were down by 10 with 2, including not an offensive pass interference not being called, a clear offensive pass interference, I'm not impressed with this DC team. Maybe it's going to come back to bite me for fading them here, but their defense is soft. They're just not the same team that they were in the XFL. They lost almost all of their offensive playmakers from last year. Abram Smith is out with a torn ACL. Like, Jordan Teamu is a good quarterback. I'll give him that, but Jordan Teamu cannot beat this Birmingham Stallions team alone. If they have not been able to get the run game going, if this is going to be one-dimensional and they're going to try to throw the ball over all the yard, Jordan Teamu is going to have a minimum of 2 interceptions on the day. Like, that will be a bad day. If they don't come in with a balanced attack, I don't love laying a bunch of points in the UFL because a lot of these games wind up being close, especially with that, 4th and 12 rule. But Birmingham is the one team that consistently showed, like, they'll take care of business. They will put it on a team, and they won't let them come back into the game. I trust Skip Holtz. Give me Birmingham to cover the 9 here. It's a lot of points, I know, but again, I'm not fading this Birmingham team, and I don't want to touch this DC team. I think they're a bit of fool's gold, and Birmingham is the real deal. Now, it did not make the, it's something I feel good about, but was not the best bet. And really it was we'll see how the kicker situation is. They just had to bring in a new guy, and the Matt Corral thing. I'm a little confused. So that'll be interesting to see game time. Like, is he really QB1, or was that just kind of like, hey, we're going to throw him out there, get him some film, but Adrian Martinez is our guy? Because if Adrian Martinez was listed, I think, I feel that much better about it. But either way, give me the Stallions to giddy up and keep it going and continue to be undefeated there. All right, folks, we're halfway through. Hope you're having some fun. Hope you're enjoying maybe a nice cold beverage. While we're firing all cylinders, let's go ahead and let's tell you about some of the awesome things we got going on over here on IDP Plus. First up, the IDP Plus Rookie Guide. Yes, the Rookie Guide. Look, hey, we love the UFL, but we also love the National Football League. And the NFL Draft kicks off Thursday, 1 week from now. The NFL Draft will be happening, so you need to check out this IDP Plus Rookie Guide. It is live and ready to download for a limited time. You can get it for the low price of $9.99. $9.99, man. In today's economy, $9.99? Shoot, that's basically free. So look, $10, not even $10, you can get a comprehensive, one-of-a-kind 2024 IDP Plus Rookie Guide. Again, out now for that limited time, and it'll update every Friday as the NFL Draft draws near. Check out the link in the show description and get your copy today. Listen, that's some good stuff over there. And the other thing I want to tell you about is our new partnership with Expedia. Yeah, Expedia. Talking about hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, going on vacation. We're thrilled to announce our new partnership with your one-stop shop for the best prices in the travel world, Expedia. Check out the link in the show description. Head over to Expedia. Their spring sale could net you up to 25% off selected hotels if you book soon. And of course, they always find the best deals for you, so you can just enjoy the ride. Check out the link in the show description to get your new adventures planned today. So the biggest thing is with them being an affiliate to us, use that link and you'll get special promotions and deals off them. So not only do we love to talk football, we love to give stuff away. We love to give you guys a discount, make you money with these IDP bets, right? That's what we're doing. We're also trying to save you money. Hey, you work hard for your money. You want to keep it. We want to get you some more of it. All right. Let's get back to football. All right. So last game of the Saturday slate, this game is going to be pretty damn cool. It is going to be the Michigan Panthers and the San Antonio Brahmas. On paper, should be the most even matchup. I think it will be. The spread is telling us it should be. Looks like, it's essentially a pick 'em right now. Says, you can really get both these teams at like -110, -108, depending on where you look. I'm getting most of these off DraftKings, is where all you typically shop around. But yeah, definitely shop around and get your best price there. But we got the 2-1 Michigan Panthers heading to San Antonio to take on the 2-1 Brahmas. This will actually be pretty cool because I will actually be at this game. It will be my first UFL experience. looks like there's also a good chance your boy's going to be in the press box. So getting a little bit of a media credential there. So, getting a little legit there. So that being said, going to try to be unbiased. I will say this is the hardest game for me to pick, whether I was going to the game or not. But yeah, this is a tough one. I think Vegas kind of got it right. Originally, I will say that I thought I was going to be all over San Antonio. However, there's been some pretty significant injury news. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let's start on the Michigan side of the ball. Both these teams looked like on the injury reports had a lot. It was long. So, they're a little bit banged up, but one team is better at shape than the other. So Michigan, they're starting left tackle Ryan Prope, and they're starting outside linebacker Floyd is out. So both of them are going to be out. Obviously, your starting left tackle is a big deal, right? That's kind of your protection piece. The Michigan offensive line's been pretty good unit so far. Not one of the better units in the league. They're still not. They're not moving bodies all over the place, but they're a pretty capable unit. But when you lose your bookend there, tackle, that's kind of a hard one to come back from. Biggest guy who's in is wide receiver 1, Marcus Sims. My gosh, this guy is fast. He is fast. Like, he makes fast people look slow. Marcus Sims, he's had 2 70-plus yard touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. I mean, you just get this guy the ball in a little bit of space and look out. He's gone. So, man, that's a big, that he's playing because he wasn't practicing those first 2 practices. And then linebacker Dawkins there, he's going to be in as well. So overall, missing that left tackle could be a pretty big piece, but pretty healthy otherwise. Now on the San Antonio side, they're not so healthy. Their starting quarterback Chase Garbers is on IR, potentially out for the season with an undisclosed injury. There's rumors about a wrist injury, but the league hasn't came out and said anything. So let's not really speculate. And it was interesting because he played the entire game last week. Despite them losing, he played fairly well. And I mean, hey, I faded him, but that number was just wrong. It wasn't really, I thought that he was going to be terrible. I did take, who were they playing? We did take St. Louis in that game. But Garbers was playing pretty well. He had him 2-1. He was a scrappy guy, but he's out for the foreseeable future. Also, their best player on defense, Delonte Scott, edge rusher, he's out for the second game in a row. And then their starting running back, Anthony McFarland, is also out with a shoulder injury. Now, I think Anthony McFarland, he was pretty good. I do think Josh Lovett is a capable backup. I think that they were kind of running backs 1A, 1B. So I think that they'll be okay there. They played without Scott. They definitely are going to miss Scott. He's a really good pass rusher. There's no way around that. Chase Garbers, whenever you lose your starting quarterback, it's a big deal, right? Now, the backup, Quentin Dormandy, he played in the XFL last year for the Orlando Guardians. He can sling it. I was pretty impressed with him. So it's going to be interesting to see how big of a drop-off we have here. I think they're definitely different quarterbacks. He's not quite as mobile, not quite as flight of foot as is Chase Garbers, but I do think, Quentin Normandy is a capable quarterback in the spring leagues. Like I think he's I think they have enough playmakers on the outside with Coda Latimer and Kirkland and Stevenson. I think that, he could give this Michigan defense problems. However, health-wise, Michigan definitely has the edge there. Just, whenever you lose, 2 of your best players, if you want to throw McFarland in there, that's tough to come back from. So this game, I would say I'm going to lean San Antonio Brahmas. I mean, hey, I'm going to be going there, kind of repping the Brahmas under there. It's in the Alamo Dome. So, take that with a grain of salt, right? I do think Michigan looked good, but they played Houston. Everyone looks good against Houston. Houston's terrible. Like, Houston's really bad. Like, we're going to talk about them in a second. Like, they're bad. So, what the hell does that tell me? It doesn't tell me a lot. I think San Antonio's defense is pretty damn good. I don't trust EJ Perry. If Houston would have just ran a QB spy, I think they would have been in a much favorable position. Like, I trust Wade Phillips to be able to contain EJ Perry, and I think EJ Perry tries to do too much a lot, and it leads to turnovers. And, they're missing their left tackle, and I was really impressed with the cornerbacks in the secondary of San Antonio. I really think they could take advantage of EJ Perry trying to get a little too greedy. And, I think Dormady may be able to do enough. I do also, I kind of like the under here at 41.5. I know I just talked about overs hitting last week. I think there can be a little bit of regression because, hey, you got an offense in Michigan that they really weren't lighting it up. They scored 18 and 13 points before they put it on Houston, which, again, me and you could put it on Houston. Not a very good team. But yeah, so I think they come back to reality, and then you got a team without their starting running back and their quarterback. So, give me like a 21-13 game, something like that, something a little bit lower scoring. But again, this is the hardest one on the board. So definitely, somewhere I'm not going to be deploying a lot of my units, right? So Memphis, Birmingham, 2 bets that I like a lot more than this. All right, folks, we're almost there. We're going to talk about our last game here. Sunday slate. We've got a battle of the Titans, as in 2-0-3 teams. Yes, we've got the Arlington Renegades are heading up to Houston to take on the Roughnecks on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Again, battle of the winless. That is who we're talking about here. So since their game is on Sunday, we only have an injury report. We only have an injury report for Wednesday because new league, they're still figuring out their protocols when they're releasing their injury data and stuff like that. By tomorrow sometime, probably in the afternoon, I would expect their full depth chart to be out. So again, give me a follow at X, the GGen doc. I'm definitely going to be out there talking about that, breaking that down a little bit more. But we got an idea, right? So for Arlington, really the biggest concern right now is their starting quarterback, Luis Perez. He was a limiting participant on Wednesday with a knee injury. I'm not super concerned on this. He got injured last week, but he did play through the game. There was part of the cool mic'd up audio is that he was asking the equipment guy to go get his knee brace for him. So he banged up his knee a little bit, but the fact that he was already a limited participant the first day tells me that he's probably trending in the right direction. So right now, I'm not super worried. I'm going to go ahead and act as if Luis Perez is going to be the starting quarterback because that obviously would make a big difference in my handicap. So then that's really the biggest thing for Arlington. Meanwhile, on the Houston side of the ball, it's like bad, and a bit of good news. So they're, starting quarterback Jarek Grantano, he's still going to be out for the foreseeable future. Same with Kirk Merritt there, the running back, wide receiver, kind of do it all, scat back for them. He just got put on IR, so he's going to be out for a while. Their defensive lineman, defensive end Carlos Kemp, who was a really good player last year and a starter for them and definitely, or at least a rotational guy, he's retiring. And then you have defensive tackle Olive Sagapulu. He was put on IR, and their best defensive tackle, Toby Johnson, was not practicing to start the week. So obviously a mouthful. That's a lot of people out for a team that already is not very good. Now, the good news is stud running back, former Florida Gator, Mark Thompson, appears to be back. He's a full participant today. He banged up his knee before the start of the season. He missed the first 3 weeks. There was a chance he was going to return yesterday. Per his tweet, he thought he was going to, or not yesterday, last week. Per his tweet, he thought he was going to return in week 3, but clearly that was not the case. But Mark Thompson should be back this week. Now, Mark Thompson is a really good running back. Mark Thompson runs really hard. Mark Thompson makes this team better. Mark Thompson does not make up for how absolutely fucking horrible this team is. I'm sorry, but not only on the health side of things does Arlington have the edge, but, maybe it's going to come back to bite me this week like it did last week, but I think Arlington's actually a pretty good team, right? So we have, week 1, they went up against the Birmingham Stallions. They were tied at half. They really should have been ahead at half. Then Birmingham kind of pulled ahead. We see what Birmingham is. Birmingham is the clear best team in the league. Week 2, they were, who did they play week 2? Week 2, they played at St. Louis. They played the Battlehawks in front of 40,000 fans. They had the chance to go ahead and win the game, or at least go up by 3 with, little time left. Their kicker, that's the only kick he's missed this year. He missed like a 40-something yarder. And then they went down and lost as time expired on a game-losing field goal. And then they just lost a game they absolutely shouldn't have. We're up by 10 with 2 minutes left, and they lost that game. Arlington is by far the better team. Now, their offense, really good. Luis Perez, Tyler Vaughn, Sal Canella, Winfield. Even they even got the running game going last week with Lady Brown and Vincent Smith. Good. Defense, not so good, right? Not a great defense. So give me Arlington because I do think overall they are the much better team. Let's not forget they are the XFL champions for last year, and they had a slow start last year, and then they came back strong. Luis Perez is a gamer. I really like him at quarterback. Bob Stoops is a good coach. Give me Arlington, but also give me the over 46.5 because, again, defense, not very good. Right, Reed Sennett is a capable backup. They've got Justin Hall on the Houston side. He's a pretty good wide receiver. They've got Kenny Chisholm. They've got some playmakers, right? Mark Thompson's going to be back. That's a big deal. But both of these defenses, Houston's going to have some turnovers. They're going to do some really stupid things because that's what they do, whether it's penalties. They've had a punt blocked in every game. Every single game, 3 games, 3 punt blocks. What the how is that even possible? That is crazy to me. I don't know how you're not firing. How is that special teams coach not, blasted into the sun? That's insane. So Houston's going to Houston, right? They're going to mess up. They're going to have some drives where they look good and competent, and then you're going to be like, wow, I don't know what he's talking about. There's no way this Houston team is a bad team. Just wait. I promise Houston's going to Houston. So give me Arlington -3 and give me the over 46.5 because that I do think we're going to see a good amount of points. Again, I talked about the kickers and how good they've been, but also, as much as I like Arlington's offense, I despise Arlington's defense because Arlington's defense seems to just give up anything. And Houston's not a good team, so they're going to find themselves, looking great sometimes and getting some turnovers, which lead directly to points. All right, folks, we did it. We blasted through the 4-game slate here for week 4. I hope you're as jacked up as I am. We are going to have a great week. I'm feeling very good. Again, reminder, make sure you give me a follow on X at the DGenDoc for that underdog play. Also, I'll give it out on TikTok. I'd love to give it out here, but again, they don't come out with lines until typically Friday afternoon. So that's when I'll start getting together and putting that in. We smacked the play of the week last time. That's 6x your money. Right. So, hey, you want to put, let's see, $25. That's $25. I've had too much whiskey to do that math right now. Okay. So, let's just make it simple. $10 gets you $60, right? 6x your money. That's what it's about right there. Quick recap of the bets, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here. So we've got the number 1 best bet on the slate, Memphis +7. They are going to keep it within this number. The St. Louis Battlehawks are missing 4 key defensive players. I think that is more than enough for Case Cookus to keep it close. I also like them on the money line, but the official best bet is Memphis +7. Second best bet on the slate for me, give me Arlington. Give me Arlington -3, followed by Birmingham -9. And I also like the over in the Arlington-Houston game. Again, that Michigan-San Antonio game, although I will be there and I will be rooting my tail off for, well, actually, I think I'll be in the press box, so I can't be rooting, but I'll be there supporting the Brahmas. That's going to be a really good game. You got a backup quarterback starting. You got a pretty good defense on both sides of the ball. I kind of lean the under there, but I think that's just overall going to be a good game that, I'm still trying to figure out. That's going to be a tough one. That's the toughest one to handicap, but plenty of other bets on the board, folks. All right. Well, like I said, 2-1 on best bets this season. Last week, we got absolutely the worst bad beats. I think the gambling gods are on our side. We're going to have a hell of a week. Let's sweep, and we're going to wrap it up with a nice cash for the underdog play of the day. So as always, folks, I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate you loving football. So let's enjoy the United Football League, and let's win some money. All right, folks, Doc out of here. You know what they say, a lock a day keeps the bookie away. We are out.